I didn't like the word timelines for a minute there because I thought, well, that's so linear.
Ah.
Until I was like, ooh. All right, let's do an official hello. Okay, hello everyone and welcome. I'm Jeneth Blackard.
And I'm Leonka Reyna.
And this is the Hot Hustle Morning Show.
Good morning.
Today we're talking with Addison Ames about timelines and quantum jumping around your timelines.
Oh, it's going to be interesting. I cannot wait to have this conversation. In fact, this was one of the ones I've been...
I know, as I just told him that. I'm like, wow, the more I to look into his work, the more I was like, wow, he's really quite the expert, and he charges like a phenomenal amount, and he's giving you guys such a cool deal. I was like, oh my God. So
yeah, well, let's talk about the work, because I brought some questions too, especially with some of the stuff that's coming out in science, and I just think that maybe, even just touching on that is going to be super cool.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad to be here. Thank you both for having me on.
Well, yeah, so why don't we start with, why don't you share when your work transitioned into timelines? Because I know you were like channeling Metatron and other things like that. And then you're kind of like, wait, no, I really want to talk about timelines. And I feel like for me, I've personally gone way out there with, this channeling, and I'm kind of come back down into, no, let's create our best life and let's play with the field so that we create our best life here on planet Earth and stop like just channeling things that make us feel better. So that was my perspective. So I was wondering how you changed around it.
And I'm sure it wasn't exactly like that by any means, but yeah.
No, I think it's a wonderful comments, and I really appreciate your work, Jeneth and Leonka. You guys are incredible.
Thank
you.
I've gotten to know you a little bit in the process of working with you for this show, and really respect you and think you've got really interesting perspectives. So
cool.
Happy to be here in good company.
Yeah.
And hi everybody who's watching. Thanks for being here. So my name is Addison Ames. My background really is business strategy.
Okay.
I worked in international business for a number of years. And I had a series of awakening events where Metatron dropped in as my primary guide and started to work with me. And for those who don't know who Metatron is a high dimensional being specialized in spiritual development or ascension for the whole thing, for all of existence, not just Earth, not just humanity, but everything.
Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you.
So, some people, if you Google Metatron, you might see Archangel. And that's kind of like one of the business cards that he holds. It's a hat that he wears, but he's a really big energy, a big thought thing.
This is beautiful.
And actually exists outside of our existence and then drops into our existence to help make things work correctly in plan and purpose. And so he dropped in as one of my guides. And I started kind of doing this kind of work, spiritual personal development work, with him as my guide, but it was really based or predicated on channeling. That's how I really got my start. So I am a full body channel for Metatron, which means I bring his energy in and he works through my work.
Sorry for the noise.
We are live, so we do get a little bit of something that happens here and there, but I think we've got it cleared up now. Thank you.
Sure. So, I channel him as a full body experience. So his energy comes into my body and works through my body. As
cool.
that work it is really cool. And as that work is developed and really as channeling has grown as a general kind of practice, and you all may know, Jeneth and Leonka, that channeling has become more and more popular. Have you seen that on the world stage?
Yes.
Yeah, people find it very interesting. In my own work, I've been channeling now for a number of years. So I'm starting to transition out of channeling and really working more as me. That's kind of with the guidance of Metatron.
Yeah, you were saying.
I still work with Metatron. So a lot of people will ask me, well, what does Metatron think? And so I can still connect with Metatron and relay that information, but I'm working more and more as Addison Ames. So,
Yes.
I provide what I call life guidance. Those are those kinds of sessions where people are looking for clarity, direction, understanding their purpose and mission, and things like that. I help people with relationships in what I call relationship guidance sessions. I have a keen understanding of relationship dynamics, and so
Oh,
I help
wow.
people talk things out, provide some intuitive feedback to help them solve problems, work through conflicts, and help make their relationship work. It's a really interesting practice that I have. I'm also a coach, like you all are in part, at least. I know you all do a lot of,
Yes. Yes.
but a motivational coach, a success coach. But one of the most popular things that I do is timelines
This
experiences.
is fascinating.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yes.
It is. And you may have noticed timelines have really become very popular on the world
Uh-huh.
stage.
Yes.
They're in movies, TV shows, books, miniseries, the list goes on and on. And
Yes.
so I think it's wonderful because people are really understanding themselves throughout space and time as more than just a slab of beef or a meat, if you want to say,
The meat
but
suit.
yeah, the meat suit, but more as something that is really beyond this and is very
Yes.
active in and throughout space and time. So Metatron is the one who really kind of taught me how to do this. He understands space and time. He's an expert in space and time. And so, I start off by educating people about what time is, helping people understand their own timelines, which I can talk more about as the conversation goes
Yeah.
forward. Healing is a big part of timelines experiences. And the part that I tend to be most excited about is helping people get a fresh start and move forward into their highest timelines. So that's a little bit of a glimpse of what I do. If people are looking for Metatron, I can provide some Metatron perspectives and feedback. But really, my overall guidance and game plan is to really work more like this, more as Addison, as a person with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. And we just did some conversation on how we are these infinite beings that know, and I think for us to like actually feel like we've got to go out to get information, like that's great, but not always. Like, oh, I
Yeah.
really feel like we have access to that just as some of these other entities do that communicate through us.
Yeah, and what I tell people, this is my perspective, is I think it's very interesting to listen to what channelers have to say. I always encourage people when listening to channelers, really remember that you're hearing perspectives.
Oh, very,
So,
yes.
so it may not always ring true with you. It may not
Uh-huh.
always be you, but it's like, instead of just seeing human perspectives, now we're seeing perspectives from beings or energies that are beyond us. So it's
Interesting.
very interesting to see,
Yeah.
but those are perspectives that are based upon their viewpoint. So I encourage people, listen to channelers, take the information in, listen to me channeling Metatron, take the information in and see if it resonates with you, see if it
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
works for you. Because just like I have a perspective and I may say, Jeneth, I think you should do this or that, you're going to go, nah, it's a good idea, but I'm not going to do that.
Right.
Things like that.
And my choice could be around the constructs of my own limitations, or, in which case I fight it, but it's
Mhm.
still my choice. And I think that that's
Exactly.
what people don't often get. They're like, well, I mean, the people who channel like angels every day and they've been told to put out these messages and they almost feel like they're a victim to it, I think. It
That's a
doesn't,
lot of thought.
it doesn't become like this, like, yes, it's,
I think it comes from a lot of choice, though, too.
a lot of it does. I mean, that's just my point of view, but I've talked with people that are like, I have to do these every day because I've been told. And I'm like, yeah, that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and a lot of people come to me wanting to learn how to channel. And,
Sure.
Yeah.
and so when people do that, I tell some people, no, I can't work with you because I kind of check in to see
Oh, interesting.
what part it really is channeling part of their life, because people are interested in it. It's very,
Yes.
very interesting. So a lot of people are trying to do it. But if I don't see it as a real pivotal part of their life journey, I respectfully say, I'm happy to work with you in other ways, but I don't think this is going to work out, because I really believe that the people who are supposed to channel should
Yeah.
be the ones channeling, and
Yeah.
others can try it, and I think that's wonderful. Channel your higher self. Your higher self is you, as opposed to going outside
Yes,
of
we just talked
yourself.
about that. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
to another planet or to the angelic realm, whatever it
Yes.
may be. Channel your soul. That's a fun one.
Yes. Yes.
But channel you, different parts of you, your true self, whatever it may be. So I tell some people no. As I learned how to channel, Metatron worked with me and taught me directly, but he also said work with some human experts and bring them in, get some human perspectives.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
really feel like I went to channeling school, in that
Okay.
whole
Yes.
process.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
But I encourage people, if it really resonates with you, try it, but work with experts, because that can really help you. Make sure you're connecting with the right energy, the highest and lightest energy, and those kinds of
Yes.
things. But for me, if somebody is going to be like a significant channeler or have a business based upon that, I'm happy to work with them. Otherwise, I try to work with people in other ways.
I understand that.
Well, let's talk about timelines and,
Sure.
how people can evolve by understanding more of their current timeline. Or,
Mhm.
yeah, is that
Or can you even
the best
explain a little
question
bit
to ask?
about, sure, a little bit about how you view timelines, right?
Mhm.
So for the person who's sitting there going, like, what's a timeline? Like,
Yeah.
what does that really mean? And I have another question. I think that scientists have now proven that time is just a construct of quantum entanglement. And that came out in a peer-reviewed science review journal, and that article was released today. It also showed that there was time where there was an entanglement. So there was a time where within this universe we didn't have time. So I think that a lot of old constructs or our own belief systems are now going right. So we're able to take in some more of these as a collective ideas that we had been locked into by traditional physics, by E mc equals mc squared, by not looking at the quantum mechanics as well. So what does timelines mean now that we're
Yeah.
opened, right? Now
Yeah.
that we're more willing as a collective.
Yeah, well, I want to address what you said, Lianka, because it is interesting to see what science, quantum mathematics, quantum physics is seeing. Really, time is, and time exists. It
Good to
exists
hear.
in
Thanks for
different
this.
ways.
How you guys been? All's been well?
It is, yeah.
I don't know why he keeps unmuting.
Um, time does exist and always has existed. It's existed in different mathematical theorem, which is
Uh-huh.
really a lot of what quantum science
Yes.
is their mathematic theorems, their hypotheses. Some of them are tested out using different tools, but a lot of them are it's math on paper basically.
Right, right.
So what time is order and sequence.
Okay.
So time has always
Thanks
existed
so much.
and
You've got
always
the
will
keys. We're
exist
good.
in our
You
existence.
probably just need to remove them. Sorry. Let's just,
Yeah.
thank you.
So time in our existence, which is an existence of thing, time has always existed in all realms and all places and spaces, and always will until our existence goes away. Time is order and sequence of thing. We live in an
Okay.
existence of thing in different ways. It can be matter, or it can be forces like strong force, weak force, things like that, which are studied in quantum mechanics,
Yes.
gravity, and quarks, and all kinds of things like that are all being studied right now in quantum understandings,
Yeah.
which are all things. So
Okay.
as we move through the model of life, we progress through days and nights, all the repeat cycles of life. We are moving as time through time. So, Jenith, you are time. Leon,
Interesting.
you are time. I am time. Everybody watching this, you are time.
Is that because I'm also matter? And is that truncated to the 3D?
Well, you're matter, but you're other things too.
Okay.
The quantum realm is not out there somewhere. The
Sure,
quantum
sure.
realm is within you.
Is it yes?
Quant means really, 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 really small.
Small.
That's what quant means. So quantum studies, quantum mathematics, quantum chemistry, quantum physics, quantum dynamics, quantum mathematics are all studies of the little tiny things within the atom. So you're looking at atomic energy, basically, is what you're looking at in the quantum field. And so the quantum field is an understanding of we are all connected. So as science understands what's really, really, really tiny within us, do you guys have dogs, cats, pets, anything like that?
Yes.
So they're quantum beings too, because
Oh,
they're
little beings.
of atoms. And
Yes.
so science is discovering that there are forces at work within us that have different behavior sets. They don't act like traditional, as you said, E equals MC squared,
yeah.
kind of physics. So what that research has really found is we are all connected. And that's really what a spiritual quantum teaching is all about. So time has always existed in different velocities. So time, another way to understand time, I said it's order and sequence of things.
Okay.
And
Okay.
the velocity at which those things happen. And that's
Okay.
time. So
Yep.
everything is time, even things that are not material exist in this thing and they move through the model of existence and they are time moving through time. So, some spiritual teachers say time is an illusion.
Okay.
And that's a fun teaching because it allows you to kind of de-stress from looking at your watch all the time, being tied to clock time.
Sure.
But really the best way to be at peace with time, I think, and I teach, is understand yourself as time moving through time.
Okay.
And the more that you do that, you appreciate every moment, you savor every moment, you invest best in every moment. And you connect with others. I know you guys are close, work together, and I think you're pretty good friends too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, so you love each other, you want to
Yes.
connect with each other and make. And for me, as a motivational coach and motivational teacher, I think that is so important. So for me, generally teaching that time is an illusion doesn't work because you're missing the point. The point is make the most out of life, make the most out of every moment, manage
I
your time
agree.
well, be really smart and heartfelt about how you do that. Does that make sense to you?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Question? Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, I feel like there is a sort of in there. The way I've looked at timelines in my own world, I guess, is that, here there's all this in the past. And because of life experiences, and everyone relives this karma, so to speak, until they hit a real true present moment and an experience where they can change the field and change those patterns. So that's how I've been looking at timelines. And when people say timelines, it often means, no, you jump a timeline and one of those patterns goes away. And maybe it's a big pattern, but that's how I have used timelines in my own work.
Well, if I can, let me kind of give you my perspective on what timelines are. And
I
in
don't
the
think
way
I've
that,
adopted anything really.
As a point of view around it.
No.
yeah, well, I think you'll find this interesting. And the way that I work is I work to bring spiritual and practical together.
I love that so much.
Because I think it yields the best results.
Yeah.
And so I try to demystify things and
Yes.
teach things in ways where people go, okay, I get it, that's cool. And I can use that in my everyday life. to me, if it's not usable for your good in everyday life, it's really
Yeah.
not a high value thing for you.
I wonder
So,
if it would be better if you like showed through working with one of us how you work with people's timeline instead of explaining, do you think? I mean,
well, the way that I work with people's timelines is pretty intimate and deep. So
Okay.
let me get there. I definitely want to
okay,
address that, and I think that's a great idea, Jennifer.
like an example.
Yeah, I think I can give you both some examples, or one of you some examples from your
Okay.
own timelines.
Sure.
But let me kind of back up to what
Okay.
timelines are.
Okay.
Timelines are containers. So, do either of you in your kitchen have a canister that maybe you keep coffee in, or pasta, or granola, or flour, or something like
Yeah,
that?
I have
Yeah.
bunches
So
of them.
the next time you look at one of those canisters, look at it and go, "That's a timeline."
Okay.
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 So timelines hold your stuff.
Uh-huh.
So your pasta, your granola, your cereal, whatever it is, it holds your stuff. And just like you would organize your kitchen, I have some canisters over here and I have them organized in the way that I want that works best for me. Timelines organize your stuff. So they hold your stuff and they organize your stuff
Okay.
against the tapestry of time. That's very simply what they are. They hold
Okay.
and organize.
Okay.
And so, would it be okay if I shared my screen just to
Yes,
show
Sure, go
please,
for it.
please.
one slide?
I think you might
Because
have to approve it.
I know.
this slide will help you as you ask. Can you give us some illustrations?
You may have to request it.
Okay.
So
All right, let me
go to
try.
share.
Oh, there you
There
go.
you go.
No.
There
Okay,
you got
great.
it.
Oh, cool.
We're good.
Can you see
This
this?
is interesting. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, so this is an example of a timelines sequence in 1 hour of life. And this is taken from my own life as an example. And you talked about jumping timelines. Well, each of us jumps timelines all the time. It's not like, oh my gosh, I jumped a timeline. But it is something that we're always doing. So, for example, before I got on Zoom with you, I kind of changed my mindset. I got focused on this conversation to make the best way possible. So when I did that, I jumped to a different timeline set that has information and data energies that support me in presenting the best conversation possible. And you guys did that too. Whenever you change mindsets, you're changing or jumping timelines.
Okay.
So in 1 hour of life, and here you can see the top row, the blue row, let's say that's family. Let's say the green row is work. Let's say the orange row is friends. Let's say the gray row towards the bottom is kind of administrative, manage my life, clean the house, do I have stuff in the refrigerator, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And then the bottom line is, let's say, my mom.
Okay.
So in 1 hour of time, I'm jumping multiple timelines in different categories. And you can see kind of the dotted lines that go up and down, that go vertical. Those are dependencies or energetic ties that connect in some way different timelines or categories of timelines together.
Okay.
So each of these little capsules on the screen is a timeline. It holds or contains my stuff, my information, energies, everything I can possibly imagine. And then as I use it, it's uploading, holding, and then as I need it, I'm downloading and accessing so that I can manage my life. They're kind of like data banks.
Okay.
So we have our own timelines. Families have their own timelines. The earth has its own set of timelines. The universe has its own timelines because we live in a big data set. Everything in our existence is information.
I was going to ask, isn't it truly packets of information?
Yeah, everything, spirituality,
Yeah.
science. That's one of the reasons why science and spirituality, as so many talk about, and I think you guys
Yes.
have talked about, are coming together.
Yeah.
Because it's all the same thing, really,
Yeah.
just different perspectives of a thing.
Sure.
So these are all timelines. This is just 1 hour of life. Most people, let's say a 50-year-old person, I would say the average 50-year-old person in America, let's say for right now, has probably about 120 timelines that they have open and they jump around to all the time. Does that make sense? Any
Wow.
questions you have?
Nope.
No, this is just opening my eyes in a really big way.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
So when I work with people in timelines work, the majority of the work takes place in past timelines before this life. So past lives, soul lives, and even ancestral, generational damage, connections to those kinds of life, and even soul healing, or I'm sorry, womb healing
Uh-huh.
can take place. So when it comes to the way that I work is we actually take timelines journeys together, the person
Okay.
that I'm working with. So the person and I work together on Zoom. We chat for a little bit first, and then we turn our videos off. They lay down and they go into a meditative state. And I
Okay.
work with them audibly, and they travel in their
Oh, this
consciousness,
is
their
beautiful.
own
Oh,
personal
wow.
energetic timelines. They have their eyes closed and they're connecting with their heart, their mind, their soul, and they're kind of journeying in the mind of all to their personal and energetic timelines. I join them in consciousness, and I also audibly talk them through. So it's not hypnosis, but people get into a very
Yeah.
relaxed state and
Sure.
they can see with their mind's eye what's going on.
Yeah.
And we work to travel back to mostly past life timelines that can be, from anywhere really, and see what's going on back there. So we can
Mm-hmm.
heal, clean and clear, even close and collapsal timelines,
Mm.
help move troublesome energies out of the way. So it's a little bit like, have you ever been into a big walk-in closet, either of
Uh,
you?
uh-huh.
It's like you walk into your walk-in closet, and instead of seeing the clothes that really empower you, that show the best you see old clothes that really make you feel crappy about yourself.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And
Right.
the last thing you want to do is have a bunch of old clothes that make you feel not good in front of
Yes.
you. You're like, why do I have
Yes.
these in here? So
Right.
when I work with timelines collapsing, it's a little bit like taking those old clothes out of the walk-in closet that you see every day and kind of bug you or bother you,
Yeah.
box them up, put them into a box, tape them up, and then take them 10 miles down the road to a storage facility and put it into a storage container, a room, and leave it there. So it's out of your house, it's out of your closet, it's out of sight, out of mind. You don't see it every day. It's not bothering you. So you can focus on the stuff that really works for you, the empowering things that you can really connect with that make you the most true you that you can possibly be. So that's an example of what a collapse timeline does. We don't delete your energies, we don't
I
delete
love
your
it.
stories.
Yeah.
A lot of people ask that, but
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
we box it up, get it out of your house, move it to an offsite storage facility so it's
I
filed away and not in your presence every
I
day.
figured there was a reason for the not donating it.
Yeah. Why did we send it to Goodwill?
I figured there was a reason for, it still being in the storage, and so you said you would not delete anything, but it's just not there in
Yeah.
our, way, like you said, kind of cluttering things up and making us feel more depleted. That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and what people report is the ability to really focus on the here and now and build a brighter and better future. I don't know if you've ever experienced this or anybody watching this conversation, but sometimes you're kind of daunted by either past memories that you know of or you're aware of, or there's like a kind of a nagging presence of some kind of energy that doesn't seem quite you.
Oh,
Sometimes what that is an active timeline that is connected to you and you're connecting with from past lives or other places, other aspects of you, if you want to put it that way. And that doesn't need to be nagging you or staring you in the face like the
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
closet analogy. So we work together with the participation of the person. I always ask the person if they have guides, talk to your guides or check in with yourself. What do you think we need to do with this timeline? I recommend we collapse it. Does that resonate with you? I work very respectfully because timelines are you. They're the person that
Yeah.
I'm working with. They're aspects of you, they're past versions of you. So, if the person says, I want to leave that timeline open, I kind of want to work on it a little bit, by all means, let's do that. But if they say, I'm ready to put the past to rest, I'm ready to leave the past behind me, let's collapse this timeline, then we can do that. And that helps people see
That's
things
cool.
more clearly, have a lot more clarity in the here and now, be more empowered, and be able to move forward in the highest and best way possible.
Sign me up.
So, in my work, we often are like, is that energy yours? Who does this belong to?
Ooh,
So
interesting.
is that how, like, it's kind of a different language that you're speaking almost. But how do you look at those energies that, exist, that, like a heaviness in you, but it's not yours?
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
a person's timeline is filled with other people too. So
Okay,
it's
True.
not just,
Okay.
it's all of
Like you
those
said,
experiences.
oh,
Like,
right. Of
like
course it would
my
be.
mother, you
Yeah.
had your mother at the bottom
yeah,
of your timeline, right? Yes. And my
yeah,
grandmother would be a piece of mine as well.
mhm, yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So in the work timelines, like the way in my work, the way that I work, I opened up certain timelines to be able to have this conversation with you. So your energy is part of those timelines.
Oh, very true.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I can
e-
see that.
even when let's say you get coffee from the same place every day, and you know the barista, you know the people, they're not your
Yeah.
best friends, but they're acquaintances. They're in your timelines.
Yeah.
Someone tries to get in a fight with you on the road, that energy's in your timelines. So just like you said, Jenna, there can be the presence of other people, energies, emotions from other people in a person's timeline. So there can be energies there that are not theirs.
Ah, those cool. Well, and of course there would be, and I guess even in the play where we're not separate and we're all one, like Ho'oponopono, right? That literally, that work heals others because of who they're being, right?
Mhm.
So it's like there's no way you could just have your own.
Right, well, yeah,
Yeah.
because we're entangled.
Yeah.
Mhm. We're
Yeah. Now
entangled.
I realize that was a really dumb question, but
Yeah.
at least
Oh,
it's
no,
been
not at all.
clarified.
No, it's a fun question, Jenna.
Yeah.
True,
Really.
because we forget. I mean, look, a lot of it has been the forgetting of us being oneness. And it's easy to get
Right.
into areas where we're having separation. There are times where I do feel alone. No matter how much work that I've done, I have to just snap myself back and be like, okay, I'm totally supported here, you know? But there are
Mhm.
times where I feel like I'm trudging through things alone. So it's a very
Yeah.
valid question.
So when they're in a suggestible state, do you ask them questions so that you can kind of unearth these? So what are some of those questions? Like how does it go?
Well,
I mean, how
it's
does
really fascinating.
kind of
I wouldn't say
awaken?
they're in a suggestible state. I would say, if anything, a more awakened state where they're in a higher decision making ability, really,
Uh-huh.
more in the
Oh,
truth
I
of
see
them.
that.
So because
Uh-huh.
they're
Yeah,
more present.
yeah, because they're really acting and working as consciousness itself.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in a way, some of my clients just love the experience because they get to kind of like relax from the human thing, and they get to really be
Yeah.
consciousness, which is a lot brighter, lighter, and faster. And so, you know, clients all see an increase all the way to a dramatic increase in their psychic abilities because they are using all of their senses to be able to see, feel, hear, and experience, taste sometimes smell what's going on in timelines. So I act as kind of a guide, but I find what works best and what clients really get the most out of is when they are kind of saying, well, I'm seeing this, I see a planet exploding. And then I kind of know what's going on, and I can guide the conversation to realize that that was a life they had lived on a planet that had ended its time and exploded, and they died on that planet. And so they had a lot of terror and trauma in that timeline.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and they're still living upon it.
This is
Yeah.
going to be a silly question, but do some people have more more past timeline experiences or maybe trauma or whatnot that come through with them than others?
And do some people ever come through clean?
I'm just wondering.
Where you haven't even seen past stuff?
Oh,
Well,
that's funny.
I would say some cleaner for sure. So, for example, some people have let's say other lives, not just past lives, but it could be
Okay.
future or it could be alternative
Sure,
or
sure.
parallel lives, where these were incredible lives, very empowered lives with lots of good energies. So what we can do is we can pull
Oh,
forward,
I love that
kind of
too.
like have you ever seen a skills crane? You know what that is, where it drops
Yeah.
in and picks things
Yes,
up.
yes,
Oh.
yes, yes. Woo.
You know, kind of a fun
That sounds
analogy.
Toy
juicy.
Story,
Yeah.
the claw.
I want mine picked out.
So we can kind of drop in and pick out some of those good energies and drop them into a person's current timeline's
Oh,
makeup.
cool.
Yeah.
So that
'Cause
they
I kind of,
can-
I guess I've often, sorry, I often interrupt too, but I've often wondered like who I was before because of some of the things that I want to do now, right? Like I channeled this book, Seven Dragons, A Guide to a Limitless Mind, and I want like dragons all around me and tattooed on me and everything, and I'm thinking, wonder what I was, right? I mean, and was I a dragon? It makes me kind of curious about things like that. It's like, and how can I now not just like play with my dragons and my fantasies and with my meditations, but how do I,
Utilize that.
utilize it and things like that. So is
Yeah.
so there's some sort of awareness, but then at the same time, it's sort of like I don't know what to do with it. It's just a little bit of fun and play here on planet Earth.
And should I, 2 seconds before you answer
Sorry.
that, should we switch out to this
shit,
right here
you're
and put
right.
our heads down?
Because I still don't have
Power.
power. Thank you.
Who's taking our power?
If I put this directly in, will I have power?
Yes.
You think? Because I don't know what's going on here. So let's leave the mic and we'll take the monitor down.
Perfect. That's
Okay,
fine.
Yeah.
I'll just pretend I know what I look like.
Except that also takes our camera down.
No, what I was going to do is take the mics off and then put the,
Okay, sounds good. Forgot that I didn't have power.
well, I just didn't want us to be cut short. So thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right, just give me 1 second here to move everything background. Okay, did I do anything here at all? Oh, we're just taking our headphones off.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I think,
And then the heads.
okay, and we're back.
Yep.
Okay, cool, thank you for.
Yes.
So, yeah, for whatever reason, my computer wasn't charging and
Aw.
As long as you can hear us, that's so good. Alrighty. So yeah, to answer the question, then I think the question you're about to answer it for us. Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, when we go for timelines, when we go on timelines journeys, the people that I work with, I have a good sense of where we're going to go because we only have so much time to work. So the timelines experiences that I offer come in 5, 7, and 10 sessions, 10 session bundles. You need at least 5 to kind of get something done. 7 is the most popular. It gives us a chance to work on this life, womb issues, which most of my clients have, and other life issues. And then 10 sessions is definitely more holistic and allows us to really go deeper. But the person's consciousness will always take them to the timelines that we need to work on. So it's not haphazard at all. It is kind of planned in the highest and best way possible by the person's consciousness, really not by me. I play my role, I do my thing, but the person's consciousness really guides. So, for you, Jenith, we might go back to a life. I don't think you were ever a dragon, if I may say so, but I think you've worked with dragons many times. I think you know them. So with you, your consciousness might guide us to a life or to a timeline set or a
That's
group of timelines
right.
where you work with dragons and had lots of wonderful esoteric knowledge. And we might take that esoteric knowledge and, like the skills crane, grab it out and bring it into this life and make you more kind of completely you. When we do that, the cool thing is people's lives do change for the better, because it's adding more aspects to the person. It's like taking a diamond in the rough and kind of giving it lots of beautiful angles and aspects to make it beautiful and reflective. So the more people understand themselves as more than just a one thing, but a many thing, and throughout space and time, different lives, different ideas of themselves, different ways to be, they go, wow, that's all a part of me. Let me integrate that into my current life so I can be a bigger human, so I can be a bigger person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that you have, sorry, Leonka, go ahead.
The comments was love this conversation. So a fantasy may not be a fantasy at all.
That's correct.
Yeah.
God, that's so cool.
Well,
Yeah.
I feel like there's awareness right there, whether it's fantasy or not. I mean, but in this reality, to avoid judgment, you sort of have to put like like a screen over it, because people are going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Right?
Well, I mean, I think in the way that fantasies aren't a fantasy at all is everything that you experience as consciousness in a human body, a mind thing, a thing that thinks, a thing that does. Heart really is a mind thing.
Okay.
Heart is not separate from the mind, it is part of the mind.
Uh-huh.
And as we experience life, everything is uploaded to our timelines. So, I mean, to answer, I see Joe's comment there in the comments area. If a person, let's say, this is a hypothetical, had a really crazy fantasy world that maybe caused them problems, even though it wasn't part of reality in the physical realm, that can be recorded in the person's timeline, which holds everything, thoughts, feelings, emotions, decisions, everything, and could cause problems. Does that make sense to you? So in a way, fantasy can be very real for a person because that energy is attaching or driving that person.
Wow. Wow, that's fascinating. That's so cool.
It really is.
Yeah.
Really.
So
Well,
do people usually come if they're like, I have a marital problem or something like that? Is there a, like, what, do they usually have a problem with life, or is it just to really expand
I
their
mean, I
life?
don't feel like I have a problem on work, but I feel like I want to expand. Like,
Yeah.
so there's that too. Sorry.
yeah, great question. It's both. I'd say 60% people who are trying to let the old go away, lay the old to rest and heal. I'd say that's 60%. Not that they have problems, but they just want to, I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but you're like, I'm ready to close the door on some old stuff
Yeah.
and do something different with my life.
Yes.
So I'd say that's probably 60%. And then 40% are kind of seekers, explorers, adventurers who want to be more empowered. And like I was talking about earlier, kind of adding more presence to yourself by adding more aspects of self. 40% of the clients that I work with want to discover more of them and become more empowered, kind of like you were saying, Leonka.
Wow.
And those are fun sessions. And again, kind of answering the question you asked earlier about, do people come to you really, really clean? Some of those people sometimes there's a few things that need to be addressed or taken care of, but it's a lot of like pulling other powerful energies from other lives into this life and going, wow, I didn't know I did that. I didn't know I had 10,000 lives here on Earth or something like that. And so people really leave changed and will stand up to their husband or stand up to their boss or decide to start their own business and really go through a transformative life change because they see themselves in a whole new light. They understand themselves and the world around them in totally different ways. So, it's like 60-40. But those are the two
Yeah.
primary camps of people that work with me for timelines.
Neat. Oh,
Yeah.
that's so cool. What are some questions that we aren't asking that you usually explain?
share, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm like, and now I just don't know what to ask, which doesn't usually happen very often.
Here's kind of a fun gift of the conversation today. And it's something that I use in my awareness all the time. I talked about how timelines are like canisters in your kitchen. An easy way to understand it. Again, if people, all of you watching this conversation, if you have canisters in your kitchen, look and say, oh, look, those are timelines. And that will help you kind of connect with your timelines. Is we're always uploading to our timelines, and our timelines hold those informations, and we're connected to those energies. So a very simple gift of this conversation is be careful what you put into your timelines. Be aware of what you put into your timelines, and be very, use your highest and best judgment with what you put into your timelines.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, like the canisters in your kitchen, would you put old moldy garlic into a canister that smelled bad and looked bad and was rotting? No. But a lot of times we as humans will do that. We'll put some really bad attitudes and experiences in our timelines, and that can be bothersome. So always be aware, whatever I'm experiencing is not just in the here and now, but it exists throughout space and time and is held in our timelines. So to be very circumspect, be very aware of everything you're filling your timelines with is really important. Be careful when I say be careful, I don't mean, fear, but I mean be full of care about who you associate with, who you work with, what decisions you make. Decisions, as I tell my clients many times, are very spiritual things and highly spiritual things. Our decisions form our life journey and form our happiness and everything we experience. So all of our decisions are in our timeline. So try to make the best decisions you possibly can. Pay attention. Give those things the space and time to figure out. And when one is really aware of that kind of concept, it can really make you live a more magnified life and a more studied life. And that generally yields better results.
Yeah,
Thank you for that,
truly
Griff.
living your
Thank you
truly
for-
living your best self and living very intentionally too, presently and intentionally. I love it.
Yeah.
So can you give us a mini experience or is it kind of not really?
Well, I'm going to try to do a bit of an express kind of just like an insight, if you will, on timelines. And can I use Lianka as the example?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't worry, I mean, we're good on time, so we can go later or whatnot. So wherever you want to take it, we're good.
Okay. All right. Great. So Lianka, do you mind sharing some personal information in front of the group? Is that okay with you?
Yes, and so some of this group got a little bit of personal information before, but one of the things that I have knowing that I came into this world as a very happy child, despite the fact that I was, my father was a drug dealer, my mother was a drug addict, and they were just really young. I love my mom, she's doing really well. And she had a spiritual awakening, but as such, there might be a lot of residue there. And I've created an identity for myself that tends to be very studious and polished, and like I always have to strive for things. And taking a lot of undoing to try to really fall in love with myself in that way. But generally, I was a really happy kid. I knew that I came here with a different mission, and so now I know that for sure. But as such, I do feel like some of that stuff still has an attachment to me.
So with you, for example, we would look at your womb timeline and do a lot of work there. So when a fetus, little baby, is in its mother's womb, his or her, or their mother's womb, they're absorbing information and living a life just like we are as humans who are born. And this is really
do drugs while she was pregnant with me. She did say that. She's like, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke with you. I was like, dang, mama. But I'm sure there was a lot of other stuff that definitely is probably there.
Yeah. So, with you, there were a lot of kind of negative energies that were absorbed when you were a fetus, when you were a baby. The way kind of conception works is there's genetics and there's what I call soul collision. And so genetics, mom and dad come together, create the baby. You've got ancestral lineage, family tree, bloodlines. All those energies kind of have trickle down effect and come through mom and dad, and then help form the baby. The soul, which is the essence of you, the idea matrix of you, comes in around conception and informs genetics. So what that means is your soul really has the idea of what you're going to be. Like you said, you're a happy person, right? So that's your soul driving that, really. So your soul says, I know what Leonka needs to be. And we've got the genetics partner here. That's great. But the soul takes precedence and informs genetics and says, this is what needs to happen here. And so that's why, kids some always look a little bit different than their parents, all the way to very different sometimes, is because the soul informs genetics and takes it on a different path. And so then you also have environmental damage, which comes in the womb. So the baby, the soul is always listening. The baby's not asleep. The baby's not consciousness. It is not conscious. It is conscious. It is consciousness. And so, for all those moms out there, I really encourage you, know that the baby is, if you're a pregnant mother, know that your baby is always actively listening, even if the doctor says, well, it's not there yet. It is, because it is a soul. It is an energy that is highly, highly listening, highly, highly sensitive, and highly, highly aware of what's going on. So for you, there are a lot of womb energies that can hamper you today. So, something that you can say when you go to bed each night is just simply the word timelines to your soul. And so what I would suggest to you for the next 7 nights, and anybody watching this, if this resonates with you, please try it. There's really no harm that can come at all from this, is kind of get ready for bed, go through your night regimen, and lay down, get really comfortable, really quiet yourself, meditate for a few minutes if you want. Put your hands on your chest and really connect with your soul simply by saying, I set the intention that I connect with my soul now. And just kind of give it a second to set in.
Okay.
And then when you feel connected and feel really present, just kind of say to your soul, timelines. And then,
I remember.
What now?
I said, I'm doing it now so that I remember.
Good.
Yeah.
And you should feel something. You should feel it kind of resonate within you. And your soul's going to say, okay, you feel it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Great. And then what's going to happen is your soul is going to help do some timelines cleanup and help cut some old cords or even ancient cords and help kind of clean up and help focus your current timelines matrix. And what I would suggest, Leonka, is do that. If you want to start tonight, do it tonight and try to do it consecutively every night for 7 days in a row. And see how you feel after those 7 days. If you want to keep doing it, you can. You can talk to your guides. I think you have guides, right?
I do.
Talk to your guides or your soul and see if you want to go longer. But I think 7 days will help a lot. And it should free up some of those womb energies that are not so great, not so good, so that you can have really what we're looking for here at the soul level, Leonka, is more confidence.
Yes. I do gather that because there was talk of my mother possibly giving me up for adoption because she had to give up a baby before me. So there was a talk of around me of unwanting, of unwantingness, or I didn't even remember any of that till right now, and how that that soul could have been receiving any of those informations and how that affects me today.
And your
Interesting.
mother is still with us?
My mom is still with us. Yes.
How's she doing?
She's great. She went and got her master's. She had a spiritual awakening and is a now designer for Disney. So she got her master's like after 60, and she doesn't drink, and she's just really happy and living life in just a much more present and expanded way. So she had a
So
beautiful miracle as well.
can I give you a little bit of information about your mother?
Yes,
Be
please.
okay? Is she watching?
No, I don't believe she's watching today.
Okay. Well, she's a very powerful woman, a very strong woman. And if there's one word for her, it's overcomer.
Yes.
And with respect to her, the stories that she's telling you about when she was pregnant with you, she remembers probably differently than what they really were, and maybe is giving you a little bit of a nice angle on it because it was pretty tough for her. And those 9 months or about 9 months that she carried you, very, very hard for her. So she's overcome a lot. Give her a little extra love the next time you talk to her or see her. But I would say the majority of the angst that you have in your life, if you want to use that word, or some of the things that draw you down, I acknowledge you're a beautiful soul, very powerful soul, and you kind of live in the happiness realm. But there are things that kind of like pull on you a little bit and tug you down. More than anything, those are really from what you experienced in the womb. The past lives that you have had have all been pretty good. So, were we to do like a full timelines, 7 or 10 session experience with you, we clean a few past lives up, just Earth lives, but we pull from some extraterrestrial lives and lives from what I would call the beyond, pull some really powerful energies into this life to help make you even stronger than what you are. But the timelines issues that are really weighing you down have to do with your mother and what your mom experienced kind of before. And we always inherit stuff from our parents beyond physical traits. So your mom's mother line has had some pretty difficult things to work with. And
Yes.
mother line, for those of you that aren't familiar, it's mother, daughter, daughter becomes mother, has a daughter, daughter becomes mother, has a daughter, and that kind of passes stuff down. So I see in timelines work, there can be some very challenging mother line issues that arise. And I think on your mother's side of the family, she's had some significant mother line challenges to overcome. So we would work on that. And I think that would really help you be a lot more free, even more than you are already, and be more powerful than you are. Does that resonate with you? Does that kind of like help you a little bit?
Yes.
My
And I don't
gosh,
like
that was
making me cry.
Yeah.
But
that
thank
was
you so
cool.
much.
So let me ask you this question. My daughter is adopted,
Mhm.
and clearly she was unwanted. She was just like dropped off at a middle school, right? For somebody to find her to put her in an adoption agency.
Mhm.
Is there something I can do to support her, like by knowing this work?
Mhm. Mhm. Well, can we talk a little bit about it in front of everybody? Is that okay with
Sure,
you?
sure, yeah.
Okay. And how old is your daughter, if I may
She,
ask?
she's 18.
She's 18, so she's an adult.
She just
Yeah,
graduated high school just the other day.
yeah, just
Yeah,
last
that's right. Yeah, congratulations, congratulations. I just wanted to make sure she was an adult, just out of respect to,
Oh, okay.
regulations and everything. Um,
Right.
and I ask you both if it's okay sharing personal information in front of the group because I really respect your sovereignty, which means I'm not going to steal your privacy. I'm not going to steal your confidentiality. I'm going to make sure you're okay with it,
Yeah,
respecting you as sovereign beings. So does that make sense to you, Jenith? Is
yeah,
this all okay with you?
yeah, yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
great. So your daughter's a very powerful soul. What is her name, if I may say?
Julia.
Julia. Very powerful soul. She's more powerful than you, if I may say. Does that resonate with you?
She may not like to
My
hear
ego,
it.
my ego doesn't want it, but I get, that I get that she's she's just she's lost right now. So I think that when you ask me that, I kind of go into,
You're just seeing her, but maybe
kind
just
of,
seeing her as
yeah,
her.
but I will receive that.
Well,
Like,
here's the soul gauntlet that she's going through. Now, let me explain this in terms of soul work and understanding what we do here in this world is we are here to act out ideas and act out energies in the game plan of all, in the game plan of life.
Yes.
So really the reason for existence is relate, relate, relate. The reason why we exist, what was that?
I said, I thought so too. That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah, the reason for existence is relate. So
Okay.
the no thing that does this whole experience, which is a way to see like a creator kind of thing, but it isn't really a creator. It doesn't have a creative process. It is something that is beyond our comprehension. It is like a no thing, and it just does. And all of this is. The reason why the no thing does is to see what relate looks like. So that is the
Cool.
reason for existence. Everything is always relating. Quantum science is relating. Entanglement is a wonderful example of a big, complex
Like,
relationship device.
yeah.
And
Oh
so,
my gosh.
yeah,
Wow. Oh my
a-
gosh.
and this is a great gift to everybody because once you realize this, really paying attention to how I relate with myself, people, and the world around me, and relate in the highest and best ways possible, your life changes and really gets better. Pay very close attention to the relates in your life because that's the reason why we're here. That's the reason why we exist.
And also
So,
the reason why the relationships we have is such one of the biggest maybe facets or sometimes of our lives, like a big uh we learn a lot from those, right? So like the biggest takeaways, I guess. Um and those are relationships, but not necessarily how we relate to everything. But I'll let you continue.
Yeah,
It's just
because
another
I
thought.
feel like I mean, that's kind of jumped off of you saying that she's a more powerful soul than I am, which I mean, I guess I don't think of any of us as like there's no hierarchy, you
Oh,
know.
interesting too.
But that's just my interesting point of view, right? So I kind of want to hear what you have to say
well,
about
I'm
that
going to
being.
get back to Julia in a second. But I want to give this kind of on background. Is we're all here to relate, relate, relate,
Right.
and as our soul comes in and forms genetics, as we talked about earlier, and creates a little baby, the baby gestates about 9 months and then is born, is we are all here to act out different relationships, different relates. And
Uh-huh.
so we're all on our own unique soul journey. And sometimes our soul, and you guys may know this in your own life, I know in my own life, your soul takes you to places you didn't expect. Sometimes
What does it?
not, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes not so good places, sometimes really good places. Some people have a dark night of the soul. Some people have a couple dark nights of the soul. Have you ever experienced that?
Yes, I have. Yes.
Jenna? Have you?
I don't know that I would call it that. I feel like I've had since like COVID like killed my ambition, killed me in a way. I became a different person because of it. But I don't know that it was a dark night of a soul. I don't know that I'd call it that.
Mhm. And good for you. Not everyone has it, but it's something that does happen. Is that everyone's soul kind of has a game plan for your life and
Mhm.
guide you through your life. And sometimes we need to act out or relate out certain kinds of scenarios that
Well,
sometimes
maybe I
are
did have
challenging.
one of those then. It looked more like an affair.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, may I make a comment on that?
sure.
I won't say anything too personal here, but
Oh,
I don't
pretty.
think you've had a dark night of the soul. I think you've had some bumps in the road, kind of the
Yeah.
way that I see your soul pathing. But Leonka, I think you have had a dark night
Yes,
of the
I have.
soul.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you've come through it very cleanly. So congratulations, you made
Yeah.
it.
Thank you. Yeah,
Good
I
job, good job,
did.
good job.
Seriously, it's hard work. It's hard
It
work
is a lot. Yes.
because where we are right now in space and time, which is the kind of the order and sequence of events that happen in this big cauldron of stuff, is that humanity is acting out old things to get them out of the system. And in a way, that's understanding ascension or the rising of all things. So just like if you look back to 1950s and our time, people think many times that was an idyllic decade, but really women were treated horribly. There were all kinds of things,
Right.
racism ran rampant and all these kinds of
Yes.
things.
Yes.
So it really wasn't an idyllic decade. It was pretty rough. But all of those things were acted out by our souls in space and time to work those things out of the system.
Yeah.
So if somebody, tried to treat women the way that they did in the 50s, now you look at them and say, who are you? What are you doing?
Right. Yes.
What
Yeah.
timeline are you from? We don't do
Yeah.
that anymore.
Yeah.
So, part of what Julia is experiencing, Jenna, is she's kind of acting out not old things or old ideas, but she's acting out a little bit of this listlessness. Does that kind of make sense? That word listless?
Yeah, that she just wants to lay around and watch TV
Yeah.
all the time. Yeah.
She's a little listless, but that's going to pass. So
Okay.
she's 18 now. So when she hits 25, she goes into a new phase or cycle of life, and it's going to change very dramatically.
Wow.
And listlessness will go away pretty quickly. So some encouragement for you is, and now I'm thinking kind of throughout space and time, beyond just the now, but looking down the road a little bit, reading the algorithm of life, if you will, kind of seeing what's forming in the future, is she becomes a really pretty great, if not a great success.
Oh,
But she
wonderful.
has to, yeah. So,
Good.
she's not fully formed right now. It's
Uh-huh.
taking her a little bit more time to form. And so, some encouragement to you, if I may, be patient with her, which I
Okay.
know is challenging for you sometimes. And
Just
right,
that much.
a little bit, and see it as putting money in the bank.
Okay.
All of the love that you give to her, the patience that you give to her, maybe even the money that you give to her, whatever you do to support her, you're putting money in the bank that's going to cash off when she turns like 25. You'll see a big change, and you may even think back and go, Addison was right. And then
Probably.
26, 27, 28 is like a build. So 25, 26, 27, 28 is a build. 25 is the change and then build. And then by the time she's 30, you'll go back and you'll look at her and say, wow, you're like a totally different person.
Yeah.
Because she's acting out kind of like a 50-50 split, which happens in some people's lives, where they go through a period of time kind of with one idea of themselves. And then they really go through a big transition period and they go to a whole new idea of themselves. They ideate themselves anew. And so for her,
Great.
she really doesn't come into her own until after she turns 25. It's just taking her a little bit more time to gestate.
Yeah.
But she becomes kind of a power broker. And you're kind of like that, Jeneth. You're powerful. You're kind of an A-type personality, would you say?
Just little.
Just a little bit.
That means just a whole lot.
So she's going to be a little bit like you, but even more so. But a little bit more calm and able to organize things. No offense to you, but even a
Yeah.
little bit better. She's going to become quite a powerful person. But you just got to give her a little bit more time. So in a way, that's me looking at her overall timelines matrix and getting a sense of where she is and where she's going. But as I said before, we really live in a big data bank. Everything is really this to that, relationship sets that all come together and kind of create our world. And so as I read the algorithm of life or understand the algorithm of life, you can really understand where things are going. So Julia's got a really bright future ahead of her. Be patient if you can. Remember, you're investing, putting quarters in the bank. They're going
Yeah.
to pay off with great dividends.
Oh, that's
That's
fabulous to know.
fascinating. Thank you.
My gosh, holy crap. I
Well,
wasn't
let's-
expecting to get all that. Well, so
Let's
Mike,
let people know how they can work with you.
yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
I know
Yeah.
we put like a special, a program together or at least a session.
Mhm.
Yes, I mean, I know that working with you is pretty intricate, and so just this little bit of snippet. Gosh, can you imagine, guys?
my
Can y'all imagine how
gosh.
much my life
I
will
feel like
change
I
now
have
just-
like a ton of relief because of this. Hold on, this
Right?
is the wrong screen that it's sharing. Just a second.
And so I am gonna
There it
run
is.
home and do that practice that you gave me as a gift. Thank you. And I will report back so you guys
Is
can
it?
hear about that. So you might have to pull it out.
Yeah, I think so.
There you go. So it's right here at the bottom. You
Yeah,
see
here it is.
hanging
Here it is.
There
Here it
we
is.
go.
Okay. Wow. Gosh, I knew that I was getting in with something good with Addison, but I didn't
Addison's
know that it was going to be like this.
Phenomenal, y'all. I can't, will you come back again, Addison? Golly.
Holy cow. That
Yeah,
was
I love you both. So I'm always happy to talk to you about anything you like.
It's just fascinating.
Yeah,
And I
we-
think it helps people in so many ways. And it's so pragmatic that you can bring it in and actually change your life with it. Like, I love that so much. It's
Oh
such
my
a gift
gosh.
that you are.
I
Thank
mean, this
you.
is I feel like just that little bit of conversation has already changed my life
Aw.
because I'm pushing her and I'm like, we need to explore things. If you want to do piano, if you want to, work with ghosts like this, that, and the other. And it's like, you just kind of gave me relief, like, wait, I can back off this child. And that changed my timeline just like that. I just think that this is just remarkable. So thank you. Holy cow.
I'm sure there are people on the line thinking about what they would like to, help with.
Help with.
Yeah,
Awareness
and
around.
one more thing, Jenna, can I give
Yeah.
you one more idea with Julia?
Absolutely.
Everything that you just said, you make your own decisions. You're a sovereign person. I don't decide for you. And what I'm saying
Right.
is not directive in any way. But everything you just said as a cheerleader, I think is really great.
Yeah.
Just kind of let her be for a bit, even though it kind of drives you a little bit nuts,
Right.
but it just takes her a little bit longer to germinate. And actually, if you decide to kind of back off from her a little bit and let her to be, you might
Yeah.
see better overall results for a while.
Thank you.
Can I ask you this? Only because I think this may help you. May I ask you another question about Julia?
Absolutely.
Do you think she's going to go to college?
No, she's registering for some community college classes,
Mhm.
but she doesn't really know what she wants to study. She has like a few like things she really enjoys. So, there's talk on music, but she's never played an instrument and, only listens to music.
Mhm.
So there's just a lot of everywhere. And I don't actually, passionate people, if they want to learn something like music, they will find a way to do it usually. And so, it's just there's a lot of things out there that she has interest in, but there's not anything that she's like pursuing. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Well, kind of what I see in her timelines, just looking up from afar, is I don't see her going to college. I think it's
Uh-huh.
going to take her a little bit longer to form. I don't think music is it from what I'm seeing. But you decide what to do with that. I think it's going to be more in the area of interpersonal relationships. She really is going to end up being a lot like you. What would you?
So she's into ghosts, right?
Uh-huh.
Really into them. Wants to listen to all the ghost stories and everything and watches these YouTubes of these guys going to like the Conjuring and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of got that maybe some of the work that I'm doing now is going to bring her into this work. That's just, I'm not going to make any, she's got to find her own path is what I've been,
Mhm.
yeah, but I kind of got that. It might be,
And I see her kind of leaning towards being like a motivational kind of person, motivational coach,
Wow.
motivational speaker. Maybe a little bit less so on the spiritual side of things, but more on the like empowerment. You can do it, you can kind
Yeah.
of front.
Got a great story.
Yeah. Yeah. But she was, you know.
And you may not see that right now when she's
I
on
know.
the sofa, but
Yeah.
but that's going to really bubble forward from her in the near
Uh-huh.
future. So
Yeah.
be patient if you can. She's a lovely person, a powerful soul.
Thank
She really
you.
is.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much. Because I've had kind of this heartache a little bit because she does seem to lack ambition and she lacks self-worth. And I'm like, I do all this work and I'm like just trying to help her constantly. So I thank you so much for that.
Of
So
course,
grateful.
my
So
pleasure.
grateful.
You have a beautiful family.
Let's talk about what the audience might experience if they accept this special offer that you've put together.
So the special offer is for what I call life guidance sessions. And
Okay.
so this is a 1 hour life guidance session that is for your audience, 50% off.
Okay.
And so normally for a 1 hour life guidance session, that's $499.99. And so for your audience, it's just $199.99
Thank
or just
you.
$199, drop the 99
Yeah,
cents.
so yeah.
Yeah. And so in that, it's all about getting clarity, focus, and insight to help navigate your life's journey. And a little
Wow.
bit like some of the feedback that I gave to both Jenna and Lianka, I kind of am able to see your timelines, able to work with your soul, your higher self, your guides, if you have guides that you work with, and help give you some of the information that you need to be able to move forward. I understand the algorithm of existence and the algorithm of life.
Wow.
And so I access that information and help give you the pertinent
So
points
cool.
that you need to be able to make decisions, move forward, get that clarity that really we're all looking for, and move into a whole new, happier, more fulfilled life. I also understand the cycles of life. So we live in an existence of repeat patterns. So we have Mondays, Mondays, Mondays. We have Sundays, Sundays, Sundays. We have weeks, weeks, weeks. We have years, years, years. We have generations, generations. They're all repeat with subtle change. And so in our lives, we go through cycles and sometimes repeat cycles. And so I can help people break out of those repeat cycles, understand the cycles of life. Just like when Julia turns 25, she goes into a new cycle.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new kind of thing that she does with her life. And she really can't do that at the soul level until she's 25 and then that new cycle starts. So I can help people understand the cycles of life, how to manage them, how to make the most out of them, and understand what's really going on in their life. So that's a 1 hour life guidance session, and for your audience, 50% off.
Wow.
Thank you so
It's
much.
actually, we did a little more than 50% off here, so I hope that works.
Yeah, that works. It
Okay,
works.
great. Wow, 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 wow. I'm so excited. There's some testimonials on here, you guys, and
But you can see how the work would
wow.
change someone. You see
I
how
mean, my gosh, just that little bit where I'm like, can I ask
change your
how,
world.
because I was thinking I was going to have to timeline her, just like you're timelining yourself, right? I was like, but my gosh, you changed me and my timeline just like that.
Yeah,
Bec
that's
from
true.
the awareness that you got, because I can now relax about that push, that constant push on her too. May
Mhm.
Maybe I should have relaxed anyway, you know?
No, I get it. I'm a mom too, and I worry that I'm not being the best mother that I can be when it comes
Mhm.
to like gaming, and my son wants to do some of that, but he's brilliant. And I'm like, oh, I gotta make sure he doesn't stay on that computer too long. I want him to get out in the nature, but I also don't want to be, I want to let him be a kid,
Kid
like
and
all
yeah,
these
can't
things.
control
Yeah.
them.
Yep.
Hi. Okay. So anyway,
So I guess it was good timing.
but yeah, you know, everyone can see how this would be such a benefit and a gift to you know, to someone that might be even struggling with their own children.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I hear about family issues quite a bit.
Mhm.
But you know, to find out more about life guidance sessions, which is the special offer for your community, you can also look at my website, addisonAmes.com. You can read a little bit more about it there. And if you would like to read more about the timelines work, there's a whole page with a bunch of information there that talks about timelines and some other testimonials there as well. The information on the timelines page on my website is pretty interesting. So if you are personally interested in finding out more about timelines, I encourage you to read that page. It's got some interesting information that can really enrich you. And would love to work with you. And thank you, Jenith and Lianka, for having me on today. Any other questions I can answer for you?
I think
Thank
our
you.
minds are blown.
Well,
Yeah.
hope it's not too painful.
Yeah. No, it was a good
We
blowing.
have a lot of good comments on the chat. Thank you all. Thank you so much, Addison. Totally awesome. Thank y'all. Thank you, Addison. That was great. So happy to hear how Julia will change, will give rise to new. For most of us, it takes couch time to know what we want. We want something else. So
true.
that's really great.
Funny.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you have to get really tired of being lazy. You know, I feel like
I've had that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, you know, COVID made me like, just didn't want to do anything. I did puzzles and just tried to hide and drank too much. And, you know, and she watched all that at a time where she should have been watching me be more ambitious and things like that. I feel like that, you know, has affected so many people on the planet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, we made it through that time, which was kind of like a dark night of the soul for humanity.
Yes.
The
really.
world.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the whole world. It was rough.
Yeah.
But we made it.
Well, Addison's been so great. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on. Thanks to all who watched, and great to know you.
Yes, good to meet you.
Good to meet you
And
too.
we will play again later.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
I look forward to it. Much love. Mwah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye now.